I am Rachel Day. I'm the events and training manager for Elevate Rapid City. Typically, you have the pleasure of Mitch Nightingale doing this. He unfortunately couldn't be here today, so I jumped in, and Shane has to put up with me today, and the rest of you have to as well. And I hope that you all are coming with really great questions. So thank you for being part of today's Ascent Spotlight with Raven Industries. They actually have a satellite office here at Ascent. And I'm joined with Shane. He's the engineering manager and university relations for Raven Industries. So thank you, Shane, for joining us today. You guys come over from Sioux Falls, correct?
I did, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, so would you mind starting off telling us a little bit about Raven Industries?
Sure. So Raven Industries, we have three main divisions at Raven. First of all, it's the engineering films division. They do leading in the polymer sheeting and plastic materials, serve a variety of markets: agriculture, oil and gas industry, construction, geomembranes. And we have our Aerostar division. Aerostar division does the near space flight applications, stratospheric flight balloon systems. That serve a variety of purposes, but they do a lot with they can do situational awareness, persistent communications. They do sophisticated radar systems, really some interesting things there. And then the Applied Technology Division. That's the division I work most closely with. I work with some of the other groups as well, but most closely with Applied Technology. And our focus is precision agriculture. Everything we do really revolves around that, where we do a lot with machine controls. We can control the application of product in the fields. We can steer tractors and sprayers. We can do boom height management control. We have cloud-based communications, telematics, just a variety of things that we do really related to advancing agricultural systems to help growers feed the world.
Awesome. And you're based out of Sioux Falls, correct?
We're based, our corporate offices for Raven are out of Sioux Falls. And then, like you said, we have satellite offices like the one we have here with Ascent. But we have some satellite offices throughout the United States, as well as internationally, Canada, the Netherlands, and Brazil.
Where else are you in the United States?
We have an office with the Research Park with SDSU up in Brookings as well. We have a technology center in Austin, Texas. That's just our division. But then some of the other divisions have other locations in Virginia, and Colorado, and Texas. And
wow.
I'm sure I'm missing a few.
No. And how many years has Raven Industries been in business?
We started back in 1956.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then when did you start a satellite office out here in Rapid City?
It would be near 9 years ago. Between 8 and 9 years ago, I believe.
And do you, what kind of work do you do here with the satellite office?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit over the years with some of the projects that we've worked on. But we, for one thing, being here has been great because it gives us that connection to School of Mines with having that location here, and we're able to collaborate with School of Mines and some of the departments in a variety of areas, different projects and so on. Also, we get involved with senior design and those aspects, but a big part of it's the internship programs and talent. We're able to work with very talented engineers and software developers, full-time in the summers with internships, but then continue those relationships where we can still be synced in with them through the school year because we have the location here and flexible scheduling.
And how many interns will you have in your Rapid City satellite office, which is actually here in the Ascent Innovation Building, which is really cool. So you just had to walk up the hall.
That's right. It was really close. It varies each year a little bit. This past summer, I think just from School of Mines, I think we had 6. And again, some years that varies a little bit, but I see that if anything being near that, if not a few more at times.
And do you ever foresee yourselves, like I realize you have the satellite office for a lot of internships. Do you ever foresee yourself having people here like full time, like starting another office here that's beyond interns, or is that what you do already?
Yeah, we have had a variety of some staff that have been full time here over the years. Right now it's a little bit smaller, but we do have a full time engineer that's working out of the office as well, and we're looking at some options and hopefully growing that in the future.
Awesome, very cool. And before I get too far going more about Raven, we'd love to hear about you, Shane. Tell us a little bit about your story, how you got involved with Raven, and what your role is there now.
Okay. Well, I'm an old school mines guy,
Awesome.
Class of '92, industrial engineering. I think it was the second class of industrial engineering, actually.
Awesome.
So it's fun to come back here. I've been with Raven for over 28 years. Time really flies. I've worked in 3 different divisions at Raven, in a variety of some different job roles: industrial engineering, program management, sales and marketing. But I've been with the applied technology division for over 20 years.
Very cool.
The precision ag focus. And I've worked as a service manager. I've done product management there, but about 6 to 7 years ago, moved into this an engineering management role, to where I work with a few of the development teams and work with international compliance and our drafting and technical writing groups. But also a real enjoyable part is also the internship programs and syncing in with the universities.
Absolutely.
On a variety of projects and activities.
Very cool. Did you start with Raven as an intern from School of Mines? Is that how you got into Raven, or how'd you get into the company?
I didn't.
Okay.
I had a very short stint before coming to Raven, but basically it was my first job out of college, almost.
That's awesome.
But we have a lot of our full-time staff that have been interns. In fact, our president and CEO Dan Rickus was an intern at Raven.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So, what would you say is the biggest challenge in your line of work?
There's always a few challenges that we're working with. One of them is it takes patience when you're working with certain projects and you see what those benefits could be, and it takes time for development. Sometimes it can take years from inception to bringing those things to market. Another area is helping to put together all the information to really help growers understand the benefits of some of that technology and that return on investment. And getting people to comfortable with some of those things to where they can are willing to adopt some of the technology.
Okay. Very cool. What makes you different from other companies in your field? Why are you the best?
Well, right.
No pressure. No pressure.
That's right. We have an excellent team, and there's a few things that come from that. But our leadership from top down. There's the missions. Each of the divisions and the mission that we, our purpose and what we're trying to do, they're really good things to get behind, that people can believe in. We have passionate people that are just really interested in advancing agriculture and bringing those efficiencies to growers, but it's fun to be a part of.
That's awesome. And with precision ag, obviously that's a huge deal. I mean, it's completely changed how people harvest and everything they do. It's incredible. I mean, they could go sit in their tractor and it follows the lines and does everything for them, which is really neat. Is there anything that, when it comes to precision ag, that Raven came up with and developed before anyone else had?
One of the first products that we came out with had to do with flow rate control.
Okay.
So it has to do with the application controls. But we had one of the very first, system where we could read in from speed sensors, and then we know the width of the machine by reading in the speed, and we'd read in the flow from a flow meter, and then we could automatically adjust the product being applied in the field. So one of the very first automatic rate controllers to help for applications.
Wow. So since you do precision ag, do you work closely with like all dealerships? Is there a certain dealership that you work closely with? How does that work? And this is coming from someone who, I don't know a lot about this, but I know, it's obviously in it's tractors, it's every brand. So I'm just curious how that works if you work directly with a certain company and, they can, you can only sell it to them or what that looks like.
Yeah, no, great question. So we have very close relationships with some of the OEMs and the major OEMs out there.
And what does that stand for?
Original equipment manufacturer.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
No, that's okay.
Like a Case IH or
John
Edco,
Deere.
And some of those companies. So we have some very good relationships there where some of the Raven product is installed at the factory before it comes out. But we also do the aftermarket sales of our technology. So we have dealers throughout the United States and also internationally that where customers can go work with those dealers for that product.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay. And sorry, as I was rambling on, I missed a question. Please feel free to ask questions at any point. But Shiloh just asked, staying with the company, so I think you said for 28 years you've been with Raven. So that clearly says about how they care for their people. Why do you love working for them? Why have you stayed there for so long?
A couple of things that I mentioned on about the wise rate when you had the question about Raven is about believing in what Raven is focused in on. But a few more reasons for me personally. It's an ethical company. They treat their employees very well. We have programs to help with our growth, not only physical fitness, but health and educational opportunities, those kinds of things. But when you work with an area for a while, you get to be friends with them and so on, and it just feels like family. And when everyone's working, in the same direction to try and get things done. So it's a really good place to work.
And how many employees do you have?
Let's see, company wide would be over 1,300.
Wow. And in Sioux Falls?
I don't know the exact number in Sioux Falls, but a majority, I would say, in Sioux Falls would be over 900 of those would be in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going off script because we're in the COVID times, and so I always think it's interesting learning and going on talking about Raven. How has COVID impacted your company and whether it is getting the parts or equipment that you need, or even as far as staff goes, being able to work? Have you done a lot remotely, or have you already been acting in that way where it wasn't a big deal for you?
Yeah, it's definitely had an impact, but as it has across the board, I know. But we've a few things through when things were kind of tough early on and some of the shutdowns. All of our business segments, all three divisions, were deemed essential because of the markets that they serve. So that was
Absolutely.
great. Manufacturing continued. And we worked through things. There were, at times part shortages and so on, but everybody just did a wonderful job in working through that. Customers were understanding as well. I think through some of that, there's understanding as they could be. But we also, we did things. We worked for those that could. There's a pretty high number that worked remotely for a while. People that needed to be in the office could be. And in fact, over the summer, quite a few staff are back in the office now with some of the numbers up again. We got a few more people working from home, some. But we're taking a lot of precautions. We have a COVID from the team, the executive team that really monitors things.
Yeah.
And, with temperature taking and all those things every day.
It's ever changing. Yes. We've all had to adjust during this time, haven't we?
Yeah.
Case in point, we are typically, Mitch will do these as a lunch and learn, and people from around the building will come in person, but it's okay. I've become well acquainted with Zoom.
Yep, well, we all have that.
Yes. So if you were king for a day, what would you change about your industry?
I think being able to bring some of the things to market sooner. Just some of the technology, some of the things that we're working on, and seeing what benefits that they have. And if we could bring some of that to market even quicker, and so on, that'd be good.
What takes it so long to get to market? Is it just?
It can be a variety of things,
Okay.
but with the just overall with the development, again, it takes time to be sure that that's done correctly, that we get it right, that it's robust and ready for the
Absolutely.
market too.
And we have another question that came in.
Great.
Do you plan to move into a brick and mortar location outside of the business incubator here in Rapid City?
No plans currently. I'm not sure if somewhere down the road, of course, but we've been really very pleased with working with Ascent and no immediate plans in that area.
We know how quickly plans can change, right? So could say one thing now and who knows what the future holds.
Yeah.
Okay. Feel free to ask any more questions if you have any. And I realize this is a very, very small portion of what Raven does, but Mitch had planted the seed in my mind, and it made me get a little excited. And I figured for the viewers, they may be interested in knowing this, but rumor has it, Raven develops the Macy Day Parade balloons. Is this correct?
It is. We have for many years.
Do you guys know that? That's awesome. And maybe I live in a box. I had no idea that came out of South Dakota.
We've had a relationship, Raven, with Macy's for 36 years.
Wow. So over half the time of your company's been around, right?
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting too, there's been all kinds of different shapes, like the Spider-Mans, the Shreks, Ronald McDonald, Snoopy's, all those have been done by Raven, by the Aerostar group. But also just to add on with that is we did our 100th balloon for them last year.
Wow.
And that's the last one.
It is?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up such a...
Yeah, no, it was sad for a lot of the team.
Yes.
But we've done 100 balloons with Macy's. But we're that part is wrapped up.
But you clearly have plenty of other areas to keep you busy. So that was obviously a small portion of what you did.
Yeah, it was an interesting, it was a fun area, but there's plenty of other work going on.
It's still pretty cool thinking over Thanksgiving, right? It's Macy Day Parade. It's pretty cool thinking that when we see balloons go by that came out of South Dakota.
Yeah.
How, when you did it, how does that work? Like, how would you, and maybe I'm asking you an area that you weren't involved in, but how did you test it, or how did you get the balloons to where the parade is?
The design team, when they would be ready to start to do an inflation, they'd go, I think oftentimes it's down in the dome at Vermilion.
Okay.
But they go into a dome, so a controlled atmosphere or environment, so that they could inflate the balloons, and then it's packaged up. And, as far as transported over to the parade, and then but it takes quite a few staff members to help with that overall process once it's there too.
I believe it.
So.
And Raven, you have your own big balloon, don't you? Don't you have your own giant, like from the Aerostar?
From the Aerostar group, they do a few areas. They do tethered aerostats, which are they're tethered to a cart with fiber optics cable. They look like a blimp. Okay. And they can take up very sophisticated radar systems for situational awareness. And so on. And then the other balloons are the thin film plastics that go 40, 60, 80, 100,000 feet in the air in the stratosphere.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Are there any other questions out there? Because I'm sure I can keep coming up with some fun questions about balloons. But is there anything else like I'm missing? Because it's so fascinating learning about Raven. These spotlights are great because we have a lot of neat companies here, but I'm not an engineer, if you can't tell. So it's really interesting hearing. I'd love to know if there's anything else that's important that the audience knows about Raven or.
Well, we've been partnered in this area for a while, but we've had a couple acquisitions over the past year as well. And we have a lot of focus and effort going on with autonomous systems and related to agriculture. So we have our auto cart system. It's an autonomous grain cart solution that is very exciting for us. It can there's an operator in the cab of the combine, and he can activate a tractor without a person in it to pull out the grain cart to position itself next to the combine to offload grain. And so that's very exciting. And then we also have what's called DOT. It's a large U chassis fully autonomous system, and there's not a cab with it that can pick up an
Wow.
implement, a dot-ready implement, to do different applications in the field. So that's a real exciting area. Is we've got autonomous systems that we're working on right now, and it'll be really fun to see their impact on ag.
Absolutely. And with those systems, is it, and maybe I just missed it, but are any of those for like when it comes to cattle and being able to feed cattle? Do you have anything when it comes to the more ranching side with cattle and other livestock? Is there anything you're working on with that?
Yeah. Good question. Right now, some of the focus areas aren't with that industry,
Okay.
but could be that some of those technologies could overlap.
Yeah,
Could be some
absolutely.
things. Yeah.
Because I know East River, obviously they have livestock and everything, but I know they do more with agriculture and crops and everything. And obviously West River, we have a lot more ranching.
Mhm.
And so, and I know they go hand in hand. So I was just curious with the clientele and people you work with, if there's been talk or if that's maybe going to come down the pipeline in the future.
Yeah, it could be that it's an area, again, where some of the technology could overlap there. Yeah.
Agriculture is a huge field. And so you guys will be busy for years to come advancing the technology, which is really neat. Are there any other questions out there? I know, Mitch, I'm actually probably going to give you guys back some of your day. Oh, hold on. Got another question here. Andy wants to know, when could you expect autonomous farming taking over a big part of South Dakota?
It's going to be a while for it to come. That's one of those patience things. And there's different levels of autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
There's fully autonomous, but there's different levels of semi-autonomous vehicles and operations. And so I think that it will take some time. I don't know how many years, but before you really see it, widespread throughout South Dakota. But those things are starting now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
would you, in South Dakota, would you say you are the leader in that area? Is anyone else?
Precision agriculture?
Yeah. Does anyone else really?
For precision agriculture and the markets that we serve, for South Dakota, and for actually a lot of parts of the U.S.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's really cool. Right here in South Dakota. Are there any other questions? Anything else that I missed? Do you have a fun fact about yourself?
Oh my!
Don't you love being asked those questions?
Okay, fun fact.
Okay, great.
A couple months ago, my wife and I, we climbed our first 14,000 footer. We did our first summit hike down in Colorado. So
congratulations.
That was fun. It was a lot of work, but it was.
How was adjusting to the elevation too? Because that's a whole nother factor, especially coming East River to Colorado.
Yeah, it was. We had to, once you get above the tree line, we were stopping about every, 30, 40 yards just to catch your breath. Probably less than that. But so it takes a while, but
you did
it was worth it.
I don't remember what it's called, but in Colorado that it's like 1,000 steps or more to the top. Have you done that? Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it's called. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Andy could help me out. He knows Colorado a little bit better, but that's a fun fact. Do you guys have another mountain you're planning to climb soon?
We want to do one or two more next summer. I'm not sure which ones yet. But,
okay, well, good for you. It's always good to have goals.
That's right.
Okay, well, I'm going to give it another second here to see if I have any more questions. Apparently, we were very thorough.
All right.
That's what I'm gathering. But thank you all so much for joining and being patient through this process. I realize I'm not Mitch Nightingale, but I did my best. I did. So I hope I made Mitch proud.
You did great.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for tuning in. We are going to be having another Ascent Spotlight in November. You can go to elevaterapidcity.com for all of that information. We also are launching a small business series in November. And there's going to be a lot of great free training. So be sure, again, to check out elevaterapidcity.com. And next Thursday, we will have our first annual meeting as Elevate Rapid City. And it will also be our first annual meeting that is virtual. So feel free to sign up for that as well. But thanks for joining us. Sorry, someone came in last minute. Okay, I'm not wrapping up yet. Andy has a good question. Are your number of interns down due to COVID?
They were last summer.
Okay.
We still had a significant internship program, but our overall numbers for the program were down from the previous years. But we're getting back on track with our numbers there, and we're planning on next summer being at full strength.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Sorry. Any other last minute questions? Okay. Well, thanks everyone. Hope you all stay warm and safe out there. Until next time.
Thank you.